Hello, hello. Welcome for another episode of the Author Spotlight. Hey, it's your host with the most, your man, Darren M. Palmer. So excited to be with you as I get the privilege and the honor to go behind the scenes with best-selling authors from across the globe. I have a special young lady on here today. My girl, Carlotta Taylor Franks, is on today. I just want to share a little bit about her before she comes on. From foster care to living in too many shelters to count, depression and suicidal attempts, Carlotta Taylor Franks, author and speaker, knows that it was nothing but the grace of God that kept her from jail, the streets, or worse. Transferred from 26 various foster care homes because of abuse and neglect, she learned early on that if she didn't transform her mind, she would be consumed by the chaotic world around her. Realizing that nothing just happens and that God uses even our suffering to be a blessing, Carlotta seeks to inspire others to press beyond their breaking point, even if she only touches one person. And so I just want to welcome to the show, Miss Carlotta Taylor Franks. Thank you so much, Miss Franks, for coming on to the Author Spotlight.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate that.
No doubt, no doubt. If you don't mind, Carlotta, please share with the audience, give us the name of your book and why did you write this as your first book?
Wow. So the name of my book is called No More Flinching. And the reason I wrote this book, wow, it took a while for me to understand like what's the meaning behind it. I didn't live life growing up. I didn't know one day I was going to write a book. It didn't happen like that. I suffered a lot of abuse growing up. I was a child abuse victim. And I wound up in foster care and in shelters, traveling, 26 different homes, and was sexually abused, mentally, physically, all of that. And it was just like, woe is me. I didn't think highly of myself when my own father, sad to say, would beat me down and tell me I would be nothing when I grow up, and I'm dumb, I'm stupid. And that's just what I believed in myself. That's what I thought. So for years and years and years, I lived in that. And moving throughout life, God allowed me to reach beyond the break and allowed me to start working on changing my mind, changing the way I think, not allowing what happened to me to dictate my future. And so after years of coming through that, I started sharing my story ever so often, whenever it was to inspire someone. And God would put it on my heart and also had people to kind of validate what God already put in my heart. Like, listen, I didn't put you through that for just a reason to say you went through abuse and went through all of that. No, I knew you would come out of it. And it was designed that way because nothing just happens. And it's so that I can inspire someone else. So I talk about it in the book, how it came to be. And I was spoken to, it was dealing with church, and the lady just pretty much said, you need to tell your story. Pretty much. And that kept coming back to me so many times. And it was confirmation. And at the end of the day, I was like, you know what? I need to do it. And now I did procrastinate for a long time. For years, I procrastinated and just started and stopped. And around the end of 2018, it was like, write this book. So I chose to write about what I went through as the foundation, pretty much for my first book, to let people know where I'm coming from and also where I'm headed.
That's good right there. That's like that Campbell soup. That's that good. Because I just want to just thank you for sharing that, Carlotta, because so many of us have experienced some form of abuse, or I like to say our valley moments where it wasn't ideal. It's no such thing as a perfect life. Regardless who you are, no matter your ethnic background, no matter your gender, no matter what geographical region you were brought up in, we all have something. I'm going to share this is not proper English, but as a older gentleman told me down south, we all got a thing. The thing is that's what makes it real, and people are able to identify with that. And I just want to a few things that what Ms. Frank shared that stuck out to me was, even though it was a little bit of procrastination in there, but sometimes God can share something through somebody else that's for your breakthrough.
Yes.
And for you to be a blessing to others as well. So many of us have bought in that everything that you need to know is already. No, you might have greatness is in you, but it might be somebody else who has the key that can share that word, to give you that aha, to give you that epiphany that unlocks that greatness in you that might be laying dormant. It's a sleeping giant. And so when I'm hearing Carlotta and I'm hearing what she's sharing with us, it reminds me that we had a sleeping giant here. You know, her life, she knew it was some things going on, but by listening to that word, it at least triggered some, and it was a seed planted, and it was up to her to have that manifest by trusting in God and moving forward with what she had to do. And I just want to thank you for doing that. And, you know, and with this is a perfect segue, because I want to dig in this, because with the remarks that you heard while growing up, or whether it was by your fathers, or was the things that might have came on TV or radio that was affecting us subconsciously that we was unaware of, by making us feel less than or inferior. Share with us, how did you believe that you could write a book when so many had failed at the task?
Okay, that's a great and huge question. And I want to be totally honest. In the beginning, it might sound a little funny, but I didn't even believe I could do it. I'm just gonna be honest. I did not believe I could do it. I knew it was inside of me, but coming to fruition and just being complete, like the actual book published, I didn't believe I could do it. I was actually at a book signing last year, had a really great time. And one of my mentors and close friends and business partners, she was there, and we were both celebrating someone else's book signing, which I was absolutely floored and loved it. It was very classy and everything. But my friend goes, I'm going to buy you your first pen. So when you get your book signed, you're going to sign it, and it's going to be really, really nice. And I'm like, that's going to be great. All the while, I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, like, I don't think I could do that. And less than a year later, I was at my book signing. So what happened was, I had to just put all my fear and doubt to the side. Because if I just depended on what I thought, I wouldn't have got it done. So all my excuses to the side and just focus. And if it wasn't writing, I was up to 2, 3 o'clock in the morning every night, sometimes 4 a.m. I did some of my best writing from 9 p.m. to about 3 or 4, somewhere from there. And if it wasn't about writing or working on my book, I was not doing it. And I just had to get myself out the way. And that's how I really just stayed to the task. And that's how I was able to actually complete it. Other people believed in me, even though I was like outwardly saying, yeah, okay, thank you, great. Inwardly, I was like, oh, I don't think I can do it. But I had to say, you know, I can't listen to that voice. I had to just know, just go, and just as I go, it's going to come together. And as I started the process, the next process came easy. And then the next process. And so it just kept going until it was complete.
Hey, we saying it again with Miss Franks. Again, the power of who you're associating with. You know, the old school saying, birds of a feather flock together. It's a reason why people say that. It's not by accident or whatnot. You got to make sure that you hang with people or be around people who speak life, or give life to you, who see more in you than you see in you, or push you. I heard a gentleman share this with us, Ms. Franks. He said, you know, you need to have some friends, not saying that you just can't be yourself, but you need to have some friends that make, if you know they coming over, it make you want to, you know, make sure your house is as clean as possible. You want somebody to help you want to move up the ladder or whatnot, for as the type of trips that you're doing or what you're doing for the education for as your children. You need people to help push you to the next level. And so I want us to focus on attitude. You know, your attitude will determine your altitude, how far you can go. And I want to bring that back to what happened with Carlotta, as far as when a friend shared about the pen. Now, if your thinking is not right, now I want to make sure that we get this point right here. That's why I'm taking time with this. I don't want to braze through this and go on, oh, that was nice, girl. Your girl said that. Oh, I feel you. I mean, I would support my home girl too. No, there's nothing wrong with that. But if some of us out there, if somebody would have shared that information with you about getting a pen and you doing something, some of you would have got upset. How dare you try to tell me what I need to do? All in my business. Who are you? Where your book at? See, we would have took it totally wrong.
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying. Your mindset. So many of us, it's not that God don't want you blessed. It's not that it's not your time. It's not that it's not your season. The reason that you're not seeing the fruition of what God has for your life is because your attitude stinks. Your mindset is warped. So even when it's a blessing that was for you in that moment, you chose to pervert it or mess it up because your thinking wasn't right. So a year later, here Miss Franks is having her own book lunch. But it could have been a year later and it would have been no book done and it still would be a bunch of excuses. Like she said, you got to forget your excuses and continue to move forward and do the things that you need to do. So environment. Who are you hanging around? It wasn't somebody saying, it must be nice. Somebody do the book. Who got time, girl? I got stuff I got to do. I got work. I got a business to run. It ain't no way I could be. I'm not Oprah. Who do I think I am? I think I'm Michelle Obama or something. I got time to write. If I had Barack at the house, girl, I could write a book. But see, that's the thing that we got to make sure that we understand. It's not about excuses. We heard 2 a.m. We heard late night. Early mornings and late nights and early mornings. This is the type of things that you want to do to get your book done. And I want to ask you this, Miss Carlotta, this right here. We heard about the time. Now I have to bring this point home and you'll be able to tell them better than anybody. It's great that you want to have a book. It's great that something was in you and you had an amazing story and you put the time in. But did you have to put some money down?
Absolutely.
Okay.
This is really one of my largest investments for the most part. And for several years, I was one to always invest in other people, invest in family. This is the one time that I say, okay, this investment, I'm going to do this for me, for my dream. And being an author is really much more, it's really an investment starting out. I like that. Yeah, so I would definitely agree. Yes, I had to put the money in. Absolutely.
I had to bring it up, Carlotta, because when so many people, the Lord put this in my spirit. He put it in my heart. Well, I knew I got an amazing story, but it's amazing how some people think to themselves. I tell you, if you really want to know if you're going to pass the test, if you're going to get a book done, I call it TM, time and money. If you're not willing to invest of your time, if you're not willing to invest in your money, now it's good. Now you can tell yourself, oh, well, it really ain't that serious, but see, it wasn't in your way because you find a way to cop out. You found a way around it and all that. But whatever you are serious about, and I want y'all to think about what Miss Franks just shared with us. Hey, I'm going to do this for me. I'm investing in everybody else. You have to have the self-love to know, okay, it's okay for me to pour something into me. I'm worth it. And it's bigger than just the investment because of the return of what it does for others around you and also what it does for you. And speaking of that, if you don't mind, Ms. Frank, share with the audience, we heard about the year later and we see the amazing things that you've been able to do. But what did it mean to, your husband? What did it mean to those around you to see like, wow, Carlotta did it. She got it done.
Well, I have 3 biological children and 1 bonus child. And my husband, even my mom, my family, it has opened so many doors for one, but they're just like, wow, mom did it, And now even my oldest son, he's 14 and he's an aspiring author. He's talking about writing a book and having it published, and he's 14. So I said, well, just get it done by the age of 15. And so it's pretty much opening doors and just let people know, hey, wow, you did it. And it's like, okay, maybe I could do it too. So it's amazing the feedback, especially from my family. It is leaps and bounds, yes.
Yeah, that's it, the opportunities, the doors. And I think some people think it's overrated and they hear the word, but they really don't understand what Carlotta is sharing. Just think about the ramifications, the ripple effect, the domino effect of what has happened. She already has her oldest son aspiring to be an author. He will be an author before he even graduates high school. Yes, think about that. Think about that. Look at the legacy piece. Look at how before he even go to college, before he ever do on his own business, whatever he's going to do in life, he's already reached a goal that some people would never do in their entire life. He would already have reached that before high school. So just look at the levels far as what can happen for a family when now you change the trajectory. So guess what he's not having to deal with? He's not dealing with the same story because his mom was able to overcome that obstacle. So his story isn't that I was abused, I was harmed, I was less than. He's victorious and he's walking in the prayers. He's walking in the grace that has been given and bestowed to his parents. Now he's all able to operate in the abundant life because it's overflow. And so I want y'all to think about that. It's bigger than you. And just to share the same thing happened for our family because our oldest daughter, she's 13, but because she seen what I had done and her mom what I did, she wrote a book. Her book just came out. And it's called #respect. And so now what does that do for the rest of the kids when they see that? And what does it do for the community? What it does for her psyche when it comes, you got a tough term paper to write. Well, I already written a book, so surely I can do this right here. This is what we do. And so for those out there, I'm sharing Carlotta's story and I'm sharing mine to let you know too that you got a responsibility. It's bigger than you. Yes, it opens up doors, but think about those who are around you, those who might not even say no, but it's somebody who was, looking at Miss Frank's book launch and seeing what she's done. And some people would never tell her this, but somebody would say, you know what, I'm gonna go back to get my GED. You know what, that promotion at the job I would never sign up for. I'm gonna sign up for that now. You know what, I haven't been working out the way I need to. It's ways like that that you are impacting people. They don't just tell you and put it on Facebook every time, but it's things like that that by them being in better shape, that's allowing for them not to have a heart attack, not to have a stroke, to be able to see their kids or grandkids. This is the deeper part of a book that you can't put into terms. So when you're thinking about, oh, it's money or, ooh, what I'm about my time, this is going to outlive Miss Frank and continue to be sown into lives for generations to come because the impact is steady going. So I just want to thank you for sharing that with us, Miss Frank, all the things that you've been able to do. And if you don't mind, share with the audience, where can they buy the book or how can they reach out to you, period, just to connect with us on social media, website, whatever information you want to share, please share it at this time.
Yes, sir. So you can actually pick up your copy. If you would like a signed copy by me, you can go to www.nomoreflinching.com. And I sign all copies that I ship out. Now, you can also find it on Amazon. Just search No More Flinching. It'll come right up. Author Carlotta Taylor. And also available on Kindle. Now, if you want to contact me, you can follow me on Facebook right now as Carlotta Taylor Franks. And also No More Flinching is on Facebook as well as Instagram. And also my nonprofit, which is Somebody Step In, is available on Facebook. Soon coming on Instagram as well. Yes.
Hey, make sure that you connect with Miss Franks, definitely. And remember that you look up Carlotta Taylor. Make sure that you look that up. That's her author name or whatnot. But sometimes you might be able to put the whole name in, but if you don't get nothing else right, make sure you put the Carlotta Taylor in there as well, as far as our author name or whatnot. And make sure that you reach out to her. I'm loving what I'm hearing here. Y'all just heard a little ski taste, a little bit of it. And get her in to come speak. Get her to do a workshop. I'm piling the stuff on the plate. She ain't know I was going to do that. Y'all get her to come in. Y'all know who you are. Those who listen to this particular podcast, there's a lot of influencers. People got their own business or they do stuff for corporate or whatever it may be, or those who are pastors or those who are having empowerment brunches and things like that. Those who tuned into the show, here's an individual that definitely we're going to add value because she's actually lived it. She's been through it. She was able to tell the story and even write a book about it. So I want to thank you so much for coming on today, Ms. Franks. It's been a privilege and honor to have you on the Author Spotlight.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. My pleasure.
Anytime. And I want you to speak closing. Speak to that person out there, Carlotta, that might say, I see she got it going on. I mean, she got a husband, she got kids, she's successful, she's got a nonprofit. I know some people, it's hard for them to see where you are now because you don't look like what you've been through. So it's hard for them to imagine where you came from. But for that person that might be in a dark spot and say, you know what, I'm not Steve Harvey. No, I'm not Michelle Obama, nobody. I'm not Warren Buffett. I got a story that I want to share, but who would want to hear from me? Could you share with that person, even though they might not be on TV or might not be a superstar in the world point of view? Could you share with them the importance of why they should still share their story with the world?
One of the most important reasons why you want to share your story is because just because your story might not sound like someone else's story, you are going to be able to relate to somebody. I've had people that they're a part of my organization. They're like, well, can I be a part of your organization? I don't have a story. And I say, hold up, wait a minute. Yes, you do have a story. They'll tell me I don't have a story. Yes, you do. And it doesn't matter whatever you had to go through, and everybody has some type of challenge in life or something they had to face. It could have been a difficult time. Well, just give you an example. So, my background is coming from being abused and being a victim of child abuse, going through 26 different foster homes, and then turning all the way around later in life, being in law enforcement, being a child protection detective, actually investigating cases where kids were abused, homicide detective, and moving forward. They'll be like, oh, my story don't touch that. But then once we sit down and talk, I'm like, well, listen, you can't say you don't have a story. So tell me about what you have going on. And then I said, what are you passionate about? What is something that you've overcame? And then they'll say, well, I had a loss of, a close loved one. And it took me through a grieving and depressing stage in life. But now I overcame that. I said, well, guess what? That you have a story and that will impact someone, And so it's just like, okay, wow. Yeah. So it doesn't matter what happened or what your story is, even if it's not nonfiction, whatever it is, you still have something to share. Whether it doesn't matter what genre you want to, write about. So share your story, share your ideas. You're going to relate to someone. You're going to help somebody. And there are people watching you, like you just said, that you don't even know who's watching you. There are people who look up to you that would never tell you they do. There are people who use you as their gauge, like, oh my God, okay, I need to catch up. Or, I'm right on track. So you go do that thing that you need to do, and you're going to see so many doors opening up. It's just like once you arrive, now you're at that next level. So go do it, and you can do it. So don't listen to any naysayers. Don't listen to any negative thoughts. And one of the most negative people who's going to be there trying to tell you what you can't do is going to be your own self. So don't listen to yourself. Just keep going.
Now, y'all see why I told y'all need to bring the woman in? Did y'all hear that? Just that last piece alone. That last piece of advice alone is fire. And so I just want to thank y'all. And please don't listen to yourself sometimes, because you can be your worst enemy. I like to share this with my man Bishop T.D. Jakes say, Lord, deliver me from the enemy in me. Just let that marinate like a good T-bone steak. I want y'all to do that. Yeah, I want y'all to let that marinate on y'all real quick. But thanks again for coming on, Ms. Franks. It's been a privilege and honor to be able to interview you. I'm excited to see what all guys are going to continue to do in your life. Make sure you let me know when your son get his book done. I definitely want to bring him on the show, help promote his book as well. So let him know that Mr. Palmer down in Texas said, boy, we got to get you on the show. We need to get the book done. Let him know we're going to have him on. So anyway, but thank you for your time. And I want to share with those who are tuned in, this is your season. This is your year for your new book. So no matter where you are, stay encouraged and be blessed and be great.